All right, now we've got the other angle again. I'm looking at my model, and I'll do another test shot. Let's just see where that's at, and one more. Lovely. So we've got our light bouncing off the V-flat, and it actually kind of feels quite flattering. Reagan, without ruining your makeup, can you cover your left eye and just tell me, can you see the front of that modifier? Just nod if you can see it. You can see it with the other eye, right? Good. That tells me she's going to have a highlight or a catch light in that eye right there. Beautiful. So I want to just point out, this is like a one light setup, right? But actually it's a billion light setup, because we have, if you try to design a modifier that had the gradation that we have on that V-flat, right there, it's impossible. It's so subtle, the way that the light falls off on this surface as we go down, and the bounce is so absolutely beautiful. And that's why I keep referring to the light under the tree. I want to show you actually in here, we have a flag somewhere. Perfect, look at that. Ask and it shall be delivered. I want to show you what happens when we only use the bounce surface and we cut the sun, this is our sun, and we're only using the bounce surface. So we kind of can take this out of the equation for her by just blocking it, and I'm going to use a flag, and just tell me when you can't see this modifier at all anymore. Okay, good. It's not going to be a beautiful photograph, but it's a good little exercise. I'll go and zoom in a little bit. So you can see this is just the bounce lighting up this side of her face. Magnus, take the flag away. And this is what it looks like when we add them both together. It's a lovely little way to analyze what's happening in this image. So again, if we're just using this, it's a nice way to analyze our bounce surface as well. And I actually want to make a little change to the V-flat, which I'm going to open it up and make it bigger. In the hopes of catching more of it. And I want to show you on the laptop here, this bounce that's coming in is really very, very sidey, and it's not bouncing into the other side of our model's face at all. By opening up the V-flat, I have now, I'll show you to the camera so you can see. I'm going to obviously turn it the other way. But now I'm going to make this giant bounce surface that will bounce back onto her. And let's see how that looks. It's always just easier to see how it looks than to imagine how it looks by taking a picture. Beautiful. That's also nice. Magnus, can I have you come in with that flag again? And I'm just going to rely on feedback from Reagan again to tell me when you can't see the modifier. Yeah. Good, good, good. So now we're still getting, let me turn up the shadows a little bit. I think we have a little bit of detail. Yeah, we're starting to get a little bit of light also bouncing into that other eye, and you can actually see a catch light in that eye from the V-flat. So that's a really lovely soft bounce. So let's compare how that was to before we had opened up the V-flat. And it's a subtle thing, doesn't make too much of a difference, but maybe it smooths out the shadows a little bit. At this point, we're probably splitting hairs. It's probably not necessary, but it's a nice thing to see. Okay, let me take a picture of my bounce surface just so I can see what's going on. I'm going to go in here. You're good, Magnus, thank you. And beautiful. There's a part of me that's like, my heart it beats a little brighter when I see like this beautiful gradient that we have on this V-flat, this bounce coming back onto our subject really beautifully. Like it's just gorgeous to me. So we've made our one light setup into a billion light setup Could never design an LED like this. I guess you could, but I don't know. I've never seen one that's like that. That bounces the light back so beautifully. Lovely. And we're already in a really, really nice place. So from here, as we are sort of relying on several things happening at the same time, our column is pointed into this V-flat. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to bring it back into the position we had it before. Is that it? Or this, maybe? Like that. Bring it in a little bit closer. Perfect. Just so I don't have to, the photographer's the art of making a giant space feel small by putting lots of things in it. Beautiful. That's really nice. So we've got several things happening here. We've got this column bouncing into here, back onto her from this side. We've got her being lit probably by a little bit of that central column, but also by the light bouncing off of the inside, very nice and softly. There's light hitting the backdrop. So if you see, if you look at this image here on the screen, you can see the shadow starts right here. So I'm going to, Reagan, you don't have to move for this, but I'm just going to go and look where the shadow is. And if it starts right here, I can see that almost none of the modifier is hitting this, the back of this backdrop. So what I could do, if I wanted to have the light spread more out into the backdrop, is bring this out. I moved it about 6 inches this way. I'm still pointing the central column onto that, but I could probably afford to angle it in a little bit. It's still pointing here, so we're still going to get light back onto her. But if I go back to where I was here, now this is lighting the backdrop much more, and you'll see that effect when I take the picture. Not too much. Just makes a little bit of a change to the shadow behind her there. Good. So now if I make small changes here, it really changes the way all of this looks. And I'll tell you a little secret. I don't really very often shoot with this one light setup. It's a stopgap for me to show you kind of how I shoot. And if I really don't have a lot of space, if you only have, a wall on the other side and a little space like this, then this is great. It's not a one light setup. It's one light and this beautiful bounce surface. If you really want to split hairs, it's a 2 light setup, but it works really nicely. From here, I could make tiny changes, and I've done this exercise where I go into a studio. I recommend not doing this with family members. I have the luxury of having a very patient model here, but if you team up with another photographer and get in the studio and start doing the following exercise, what happens if I angle this down? Just a touch. Make a small change, take a test shot, slightly different look. What happens if I angle it up? I'm wasting the column upwards and sideways now. Slightly different look. The light changes on the backdrop. What happens if I feather it even more? Take a test shot. I'm making 1-inch adjustments at a time. I'm wasting that hot spot and I'm just getting little differences. I would recommend, rather than going out and buying any of this, trying it with the modifiers that you have at home. Get with another photographer or a very patient person who wants to be photographed. Do not use your pets or children. They do not want to be photographed. It is not a great experience for you. Team up with another photographer in your area, get in the studio and try this with every modifier that you own. Find out where that central hard column is. Do not go out and buy modifiers at this very moment. You can if you want. I'm not going to stop you, but you don't need to. Put a light in what you have. Let's do it with the ugliest modifier you have. If you waste that central column and you bounce back, you're going to make beautiful images. If you turn on the light, it's too dark, turn it up. If it's too bright, turn it down. It's a really foolproof method. Small changes, small adjustments make really big changes. So you can do this with, this is a very deep modifier. So the depth here is very deep. When I look at this, I can see Actually, I could show you this. Yes, I could show you. Reagan, you can just hang out there. If I point this at these backdrops for you, and I take a picture, you should be able to see, I'm actually going to do it like this. There you go. You should be able to see the shape of the modifier sort of reflected or manifesting on the background. So if I move this out of the way, if we reference that photograph, we put it on the screen, the modifier is lighting an area about this size. That, and I'm not going to try to explain this specific modifier because I want you to do this with what you have at home. I'm going to look and say, if I'm here behind the modifier, no light can hit me. As soon as I start to be able to see the front of this, that's when some light can hit me. And if I imagine, I extrapolate this shape, okay, the light is going probably in this shape. Anywhere that the front of the modifier can be seen is where light is going to go. It really is as simple as that. So I want you to keep that in mind. So I'm going to just put this back in place. It's a really great exercise. I want you to just visualize where the light is going, find that central column, feather is to, instead of this, turn it like this, change the shape, play around with it. Remember that a light exists in 3 dimensions. It can go up, down. Let's see how it is. If we bring this up, we angle it in a little bit for you. Maybe we could get a little more fashion angle. You know, can you still see it in both eyes? Give me that test there. You can sort of see it, yeah? Perfect. And I know I'm going to get catch lights in the eyes. Lovely. Let's see how that is when we bring it in from higher. Also nice. We get more of a shadow underneath, more definition. The collarbones are also more defined. All of these things. You know, if you have a subject that might be worried about double chins, when you come in from a little higher, it's a really nice way of maybe getting a little bit more shade under there. But I would be careful because if you go too high, you want to ask them, hey, can you still see the front of the modifier? Because as soon as they can't, their eyes are going to go pitch black. There's going to be no life, no catch light in the eyes. So, you know, going to where the model is and just having a look. Reagan, I'll switch with you. If you go to the camera. Perfect, thank you. And I'm just going to do that exercise, take a picture of my surfaces, go here and just say, right, okay, the light's coming out of here. It's fairly high. So actually, if I want her to catch it, maybe the chin can come up. It's a good idea. Oh, this might actually, now that I'm looking at this, be slightly in the wrong place. I might go here, catch that, and I'm going to go where the model is and have a look, and I'm going to reclaim that hot spot that I'm wasting by having it bounce from here. I can use this to bring more or less bounce in. I can expand it to change that. It is an infinite possibility of things you can do with just one light. So I'm going to take this example of Reagan. I'm going to have you sit one more time, and we're going to expand on the idea of when she covers her eye. I'm going to show you a little bit unintuitive way that we can get more light coming in from the other side on her face. So please go ahead. Thank you. So she's now, we know where we're at here. If there's not enough light on this side of her nose, maybe I don't have access to a V-flat, there's another thing I can do. There's actually 2 things I can do. Without changing, let's go back to where we were earlier, just so we are in a safe place. Without changing the direction of the modifier, if you cover that eye, and yeah, exactly, she's doing it without wearing her makeup. You can still see it from the other eye, right? So I want her to nod if what happens as I move this in is you start to see more of this in that eye, okay? So you just nod when that happens, right? So her eye, this eye, you can put your hand down, this eye is now going to see more of the front of this modifier as I've moved it across. I've not changed the direction because what people tend to do, and don't do this, if you have a lot of shadow here on this side, people tend to go and point it directly at the model again, which is just going to make you have that horrible hard light, and we're going to lose our ability to bounce off of this because it's now no longer pointing at our bounce surface, right? So I'll show you what that looks like. We lose a lot of the bounce. And it's also closer in. Let me adjust the power. It's too bright, so I'm just going to turn it down. We don't need to worry about the settings. It's not about the ratios. It's just too bright. I'm going to turn it down. So we lose some of that quality of the bounce of our light right there. So instead, I'm going to feather it, use my bounce surface to my advantage, waste the center column, and make a beautiful light. Oh, and the next part is so exciting. Okay. Lovely. That's so much more flattering because we're really using both of these. So that's achieved by just, instead of resisting the urge just to turn it onto our subject, keeping it pointed this way. And as this light comes across the front of her, more of that light will end up in that side of her eye. So let's try that again. I've moved it even closer. So her, what's that side? Right side, camera left side, will have even more light. You can see that. Magnus, could I have you come in and help me with this demonstration? Perfect. So what I'd like to do is, let's bring it in even more. Sorry, I actually get excited because I can show you this stuff. It's really great. Okay, it's almost covering her. And what I'm getting now is, well, that's actually too much because it's not even lighting that side. Perfect. So we have a lot of light on her right side, and we're going to move it back about 2 inches at a time. Perfect. And you can see how the light just starts to be more sidey as we go. That's perfect. Now we're too much. Good. So one of the ways to get more light on the opposite side is just to bring it across the front of the model a little bit more. I'm planting a little seed here because we're going to use this concept later on in the class. Right now, the light is really coming very much from the side here. We measured it, so you know we were like 2 feet and 9 feet. We did that whole thing. I don't want to revisit it right now. But the light has much further to travel as it bounces here, back to her. So it's going to be very sidey. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to now take you, and we'll do a little what is this? Snap, thank you. A snap, and I'm going to show you the concept of a tunnel. But before I do, I want you to think about what's happening here. This light is bouncing into here, and we're creating what I showed you inside this modifier, an area of sort of chaotic light bouncing back and forth, creating the conditions that we have in the shade under that tree, where we're not having that direct light, or if we do have a direction that the light is coming from, we don't have, it's not so hard because we're also filling in from other places, like the light bouncing off the ground or bouncing off the walls when we're outside. As I bring this further away from my model, I want you to see, Magnus, grab the other side of this. So no one's going to move, the model's going to stay exactly where we are. The direction of this is going to stay exactly where it is. All I'm going to do is I'm going to move this light further away from my model. 2 things are happening here. Obviously, the light is further away. Okay, that's in the same place. The light is further away, so it's probably going to lose some power, so it'll feel darker. And something else is going to happen. It's going to feel less contrasty, and I'll explain why in a second. Lovely. Good. I'm going to, we've lost some power. Let's turn it up by like half a stop. Lovely. You don't need to worry about stops. You just need to turn it up if it's too dark. You see how it starts to be much more of an even spread? Let me compare that to an image from earlier. This image on the left here, much more sidey. And as we move both of these further away, it starts to get much more even on both sides. Why is that? Let's do it a little bit more just to accentuate the effect. Come this way, perfect, good. And take the picture again. We'll probably need to turn up the power a little bit more. Yeah, Go for it. So I've got all three images on the screen. There we go. It even starts to come more from the left side. So what's happening here is we have the effect of the tunnel. What I'm going to show you now is the effect of that tunnel. I've built a tunnel of V-flats here, or a hallway, to demonstrate a little concept about how the light starts to even out as you move the bounce and the one light further away from the subject. So I'll show you that right now. So if I step directly into